Hey, y'all. Welcome to my new podcast called Speaking of Spliffs. Now, my name is Red. If you don't know what a spliff is, it is a cigarette that's rolled with a little bit of cannabis that tastes like heaven. Now, I know some of my followers are out there thinking, ugh, smoking is so fucking nasty. Turn it off. You can watch some of my other videos I'm going to make about my beautiful little reptile babies. That's not what we're discussing today. I know smoking is gross. I know it's bad for me. I've quit on and off at this point in my life. Hey, we've got 12 years left according to the government studies. According to whatever the fuck the news media is saying. According to scientists. So why not live it up? Been watching a lot of comedy specials and just up and coming people lately. Thomas Dale at Thomas Dale 5 is hilarious, and he has a podcast, and his friend Michael Lenoci, who's another comedian, has a podcast that they do, and they're hilarious. And they just sit there and shoot the shit. It's amazing. I like to talk about cannabis, weed, for those of you in the non-legal states or those of you still living in the 20th century. The state that I live in has a legal outlet for people like me. So, very avid smoker. Today's episode, I am using a little bit of Colombian Gold mixed with Sensei Star. Now, I'm not going to say those are not brands. Those are flowers. Because they're not my sponsors. I just enjoy smoking their weed. But hey, if you want to give me a shout out, you know who you are. Anyway, I started looking around and compiling some stories, and I'm working on a couple different projects right now. So this is good motivation for me. My therapist thinks it's a good idea. I need to start being more social, so this is a good way for me to do that. So let's get started. Now, first time I smoked weed, I was 17 with my brother's friend Ian, and because I had already come out at 15, I was not allowed to spend the night at guys' house. My parents were like, we know our son is a little So, it was really hard for me to get out and just go to other people's houses, especially if they were boys. And so, I don't remember what the circumstances were. My parents knew his parents, so I was somehow able to spend the night at his house during a high school dance that was going on one weekend. So, his parents go out of town. I go over because this guy's a year younger than me, can't drive. I offered to be the designated driver, and my parents agree because they know both sets of parents, hoopla, whatever. And so the first time I got high, my friend Ian puts me in a basement, like, sitting room, decked out in Christmas lights, all sorts of Simpsons shit. He was real obsessed with The Simpsons. And he said, okay, I'm going to let you smoke this, and then I'm going to leave you alone. I don't remember what we smoked, but I do remember finding a Homer Simpson slipper, putting it on my hand, and when Ian came to retrieve me, I was having a full-fledged conversation. Now, that is probably the trippiest thing that's ever happened when I've smoked weed. I just cannot for the life of me understand how weed makes people hallucinate. Now, I understand weed affects everybody differently. I have used psychedelics, and I have never once seen a ghost, spirit, demon, cop turn into a shark, school bus turn into a bald eagle, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but with all the medication and therapy that I've been doing in the past 2 years, it's really made me realize that you have to be especially careful when you're entering those states because your mind plays a lot into it. And I have only had one experience where I was not in a great headspace. And my dumb fucking ass decided, my friend and I decided, I should say, to trip balls and watch the animated drama Charlotte's Web while we came up. Now, if you haven't seen that movie, it's a very blatant, in-your-face movie about death. There's so many references to it throughout the whole movie, so it's not something you really want to watch when you're coming up on a drop of acid, or a couple drops in our case. So the movie ends, and I'm extremely depressed. My friend says, I can't deal with this. I'm going to go home and fuck my boyfriend. So he leaves. I'm in my tiny bedroom apartment, and I try to go to sleep. And I turn off the lights, and I don't see any entities. I see some colors and shit. But I don't see anything. I just felt completely alone. And when I say completely, meaning I was the only person in this existing universe that existed. Everything else was fake. That was the scariest part to me. Because could you imagine waking up one day and just, this is all dream? That's a topic for another podcast. But what I'm saying is, there are lots of people who have some crazy stories about psychedelics. And I'm excluding DMT because that's a whole nother beast that I don't know enough about. But weed makes people skits out. It makes people realize things about themselves that they maybe don't want to accept. And so I understand that part. But I don't understand people who actually see things hallucinate when they smoke weed. I've never had that experience. I would like to have that experience. So make me a believer. Send me your stories on Twitter or to my email. I would love to hear about how you interact with cannabis, whether it's edibles, smoking, anything that you do and any of the interactions you have. Speaking of Twitter, my most interacted tweet according to Twitter's email is something that I tweeted yesterday about jerking off in libraries. Now, I'm not shaming. Anybody can do whatever the fuck they want with their dick, vagina, lack thereof. I'm just wondering, how the fuck do people not get caught? Like, you would think that cameras were all over libraries. According to my friend Joel, shout out to Joel, he is one of the only straight people I know in real life who follows me on Twitter. And you don't have to worry, I will never come to Omaha and jerk off in any of your libraries. Another interesting message I got today was from my cousin because I was posting K-pop videos and said, you never thought you'd be a fan. You're a little too old. Well, yeah, I'm a little too old to be wearing, this for a daytime outfit, but it works. Now, I have only recently dug into the K-pop world, and let me tell you, it is so brilliant. It's vibrant, brilliant, mind-changing, and it's all because it's so happy. Like, American pop music, I feel like, is trying to sell a culture. And yes, K-pop is selling a culture as well. But when there's songs about just being happy, when there's songs about being a strong woman and you don't need a man, we have those songs. But when you get that stroke inducing synthesized beat in your eardrums, it doesn't matter what language they're speaking. And I would love to learn the Korean alphabet. I love it. It's my new favorite. I don't think I've listened to anything else since last Saturday. So at 33 years old, I am a K-pop stan. Now, this does not mean that I'm going to buy their merchandise, that I'm going to go to their shows. I didn't even go see Britney 5 years that she's been in Vegas, because, honey, outdoor and public concert venues do not do it for me anymore. Why would I want to, especially Britney, I love her, but I saw her in 2003 when she danced like a fucking cokehead. She's not doing cokehead maneuvers in Vegas. She's doing some brilliant shit, but I can see it on DVD. I can see the Glastonbury Festival on BBC or on DVD. I'm too old, especially at a K-pop concert. Oh, Jesus. Well, I wanted to keep this short and sweet, but I want to say, if you took the time out to listen to this or watch this silly video, thank you from the bottom of my heart. My name's Red. This is Speaking of Spliffs. And I just want to say thanks again for watching, and follow my journey. I've got some upcoming projects, and you can catch me at Twitter at Dad's Notebook. You can also catch me on Instagram at Vincent_Ryan9. You can check out my reptiles and see what I do there. I just had some babies, so